Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Blonde Ambitions Podcast. I'm your host, Dianna King. Today, I have a beautiful, beautiful actress. She actually works in multiple markets. She is living her dream one audition at a time. Today, you guys, I have Natasha Barber. Welcome in, Natasha.
Thank you, Diana, so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. I know it's been a while in the works to have you on. I'm glad that we can finally get you here and have a chat because I think we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of similarities too
Yes.
that we just realized.
Right.
Well, let's jump right into the market because you live in North Florida, but
Mhm.
you work as an ATL local, which is Atlanta. You're also repped by the Driven Agency in Los Angeles. So
Yes.
tell me how you work that out and your advice for actors that aren't near a market and are sort of in your position.
Well, I actually signed with Driven before I did with my Atlanta agent with BMG. And what I told her was, she's like, "Are you willing to work as a local?" She said, "Because that may be what you may have to do." So I actually gave her an amount. I said, "I won't take anything under this amount because then I'm not making any money and I'm working for free." So we worked it out, and I get a lot of auditions out there.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my first commercial was a national commercial that I booked out in LA
Wow.
for Aetna. I would tell anybody, you know what? If you have the ability to do it, do it. I mean, don't set yourself up to where you're not making anything. But if you can make 1,000, 1,500, whatever, to fly out there, do a commercial, everything you're doing is deductible off your taxes. So, I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, I definitely, and even going to Atlanta, going up there, anything I do is a deductible. I've worked in New Orleans as well. I've worked in Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
so
Just knowing your finances, do the math. How much is it going to
yes.
cost for me to fly here? Is it going to be worth it? And most of the time, it will be worth it because even if you break even, it's experience. It's another
Yes.
another credit on your what am I trying to say? On your resume. You
Hmm.
have relationships that you've made doing that project. There's so many pros to doing that. So yeah, have an open mind and don't, because there is such a misconception about not being near a big market. Say you live in Philly or something. Well, I'm not in New York. How am I going to work in New York? Well, that's the thing. You have to figure out, is it going to be worth it? Plus, there are things elsewhere in local markets that you can do, like local theater, just to get your feet wet. And then when you're ready to step out of that box and get an agent out of town and make that commitment, it's worth it because, again, it's going to give you those credits and the experience that you need.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yes. And do you work in New York too, being in Florida, actually?
New York that's my next step.
Yes.
Whoa. I just got my reel together and I'm working on that being my next one. But I would tell anybody, if this is something you really want to do, please learn how to act. Because when I started, I thought I knew how to act because I'm as extra as they come. So I'm like, they'll just be me. But less is more a lot of the times, and you have to learn. You can't
Mhm.
you can't think, I'm gorgeous and I have a personality, boom, everybody's going to want me. You know what? Everybody thinks they're gorgeous and have a personality and that they can act. And they can look at you, they can even choose you. You can be down to, they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're perfect. That look, oh my God, the blonde hair, Natasha. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then you don't get it.
And then they go with somebody with brown hair.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, please learn how to act. Go train, learn the business of acting. There's a whole business side of it. It's not just going on set all day. There's a whole business besides what you see on TV. I mean, it is a full on, full time job. You have a union, just like other jobs have. It just is so glorified in
Hmm.
so many different ways and exposed that there's so many misconceptions about acting.
Because of the one percenters. Everybody wants to be a one percenter. I mean,
Exactly.
I will one day. I might be in a wheelchair or using a walker when I do it, but It'll happen. It'll happen. But oh yeah, definitely. And I have to do a shout out, even though no one told me to. I gotta say, if you are just starting out, before you pay all these people that swear on the internet they can teach you how to act, please join HWC, Hollywood Winter Circle. Please, please,
Hallelujah.
please. You know, before, because let me tell you, I spent to go out to LA for one of those showcase thingies.
So I knew you were going to say that. That's how they get you every time. Yep.
Now, mind you, it's a great organization. It was wonderful, and I got my LA agent from it, and her and I are like this now, you know. But could I probably have done it without spending $5,000 had I started with HWC and learned from there? Probably. And with
Yep.
all the information and all the education that they have, that's in there, probably. So y'all don't spend $5,000. No,
Do not do it.
don't do
Don't
it.
do it. Do not do it. And also at HWC, you get your classes there too. There's coaches. You don't have to go outside and find acting classes. If you join HWC, it's literally an umbrella. You have everything you need under that umbrella.
Yep.
Plus, you have Wendy, you have Sean. My God, I can name 10 more people
James
that
Chaconi,
there
Daryl,
you go.
I mean, it just there's so many. I mean, James is phenomenal. He's just incredible. I'm using him and the way he works to try to work my way into that New York market, because I
Yes,
went
because
here.
he is in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big in New York, procedurals, big in
Yeah.
procedurals. He's a
Yeah.
working actor. He's so good. Yeah, you got like Amy Linden, out
Yes.
here in LA. You've got Nancy Scanlon with the Dream Lab Studio, Kenzo Lee. I mean, they're all with HWC. So, and plus the relationships that you make there, like you and I met
Yes.
through HWC. All my previous guests have been from HWC. So it's such a wonderful community, not just to learn how to act in the business. It's a community, and you will learn from each other. You learn from each other's mistakes,
Hmm.
and you learn how to not be embarrassed to share your acting, even if it's bad. Yeah, this is not the final take, but here, am I on the right track? And you show the class of 100 people, and you just have to get it out there, and because that's what it's all about, is putting yourself out there.
Oh yeah, I had some headshots done. My first batch of headshots was wonderful. Parker Harris out in LA, great. But my second ones, those weren't so good. And when I brought them to HWC, they were like, "Ooh, I'm like, I know, don't even. I'm getting new ones. Just don't even." Wendy's like, "Oh, just use them. Just use it for now, and then just fix them."
I can hear her saying that. Just use them. Damn it, they're fine. She's so funny. I love her. So let's talk about acting a little bit, and let's talk about your journey, because you started acting later on in life. So tell us a little bit about that and how that got started.
Well, I had been going through years of medications that I was on, made me put on a whole lot of weight. I mean, I was like 285 at one point, and I dropped 135 pounds. All of a sudden, I had this confidence that I never had before in my life. Cut all my hair off, bleached it blonde just because. And I told my husband, I said, I think I want to act. I'm like, I'm going to send in some pictures to this place and just see what goes from there. And I sent in a couple, and they contacted me, and they're like, hey, we want to do this. And that's where I ended up spending 5,000. But anyway, I just, at 53 years old, I was like, I want to do this. And I've only been doing it for a year and a half is how long I've been in it. And it is absolutely what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
There's some days that I'm like, man, why did I wait so long? But I truly believe everything's set up for you. God's
Yeah.
got everything all set up, and when it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
And it won't pass you by.
Exactly. If it's yours, it'll be there for you.
Exactly.
But yeah, I had my first bad experience was actually at the showcase I was at. It was the very first agents that I was in front of. When I saw the lady, she was African American. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to relax a little bit, because I was so nervous. I was doing a monologue from 9 to 5, Dolly Parton. I had the Southern accent and everything. I did my thing. I was so proud, didn't forget a line. And she looks at me and goes, that was a bit theatrical. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you can go. Okay. I walked out, and I felt my eyes tearing up, and I'm like, what did I just do? I spent $5,000 to come here, and this woman basically told me I suck. So I had to pull it back together. I had a friend there, and she's like, you know what? Just ignore her. Ignore it. It's done. It's over with. And so there I did, and I kept on pushing.
Yeah. Yep. And then you booked that national commercial. I mean, that probably felt so great.
Oh my gosh, I was
Just
in.
validated you a little bit. Like, okay,
Oh yeah,
this is what I'm here for.
yeah. Everybody that was on set, these were like all veteran, actors that have been doing this for 1,000,001 years. And when they found out that I had been at that time, I had been signed with Driven for I think 3 months, 3 or 4 months.
Mm.
And they couldn't believe it. They were like, "What?" Because I was trying to act as professional as I could. I was like, they didn't know it, but I was watching what they did,
Yeah.
like if they asked for water and it was okay to ask for water, then I would ask for water. If they got up and went to the bathroom, I was like, okay, it's okay. You can get up and go to the bathroom because I'd
Yeah.
never been on set before. That was my first time. So I had to fake it till I made it.
Yes, exactly. You gotta see what everybody else is doing and follow suit sometimes, and just kind of tiptoe your way around until you figure out your own way and your confidence on set. Because
Hmm.
it was hard for me too, my first time on set, especially, you being in a national commercial. It's like a big deal. It's like a
Hmm.
real, yeah. And the first thing I ever did was with a, really big pop star. And I had no idea until she walked in, and I had no idea how big and serious it was and so then I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, I need to like fall back and just sit in my chair and
Yep.
yeah, don't go on set and act a fool and be like, where's the water, where's craft service? Like, no, because you're lucky that your ass is even there.
Exactly. And you have to be nice, like to the people, I call them gophers, but I don't remember the exact terminology. Sorry. But like the little guy that was got me my water. Oh my God. I was like
Mhm.
so thankful. I'm like, thank you so much. And everybody was like, at the end, everyone was like, Natasha, you're so nice. The wardrobe lady said, hey, take your clothes, take the shoes, take the jewelry. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, shh, yeah, just take it. She goes, not everyone's getting it because there was a gentleman there that was a bit of a diva. He was not very nice to wardrobe. And she said, his will be coming back with me.
Well, there's your lesson right there. Don't be an asshole on set.
Exactly. Because you don't know. You don't know when you're going to run into these people again. You know what I
You
mean?
don't. It's a very small world.
Yes. Yes.
So small. Like, I had no idea how small it was. It is so crazy, especially with just the things that are going on in the industry right now. It's crazy to see how far back, how deep it goes with people. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a very small world in this industry. You also have something in the works right now. You have a film coming. It's a feature film called Southern Village.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. That's so amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I always have a story, Diana, so I'm sorry, but there is actually.
No, this is what we're here for, girl. Tell us, tell us.
Well, I am like an actor's access like junkie. I'm on it all the time looking for different opportunities, even with my two great agents. And it's funny because I'll email them. I'm like, hey, I found this. Did you see it?
I do that too. I do that too.
You gotta put in the work too.
Yeah.
But I saw the casting call for it and I'm like, Pensacola? It's being filmed here? So I told my husband, I'm like, oh, they got a nurse. I'm audition for the nurse. So I went and I got there that day. He had me send in a monologue, I think it was, and I didn't send Dolly Parton. I sent a different one. And he saw that, so he got in touch with me. He gave me a time to come and do my in person, and I was ready. I had the scrub top on, and I was ready. Well, I
Yes.
get in there, and the lady's like, "You're not going to be auditioning for that part." I said, "But he told me," and she goes, "Oh, no, 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 no. Here, we want you to do this one. We want you to audition for this part."
Okay.
Much bigger part, much bigger part, very intense. It was about a veteran that's in her group, and she basically falls apart. She just loses it, and it was very emotional. And I had 15 minutes to look at it. They let me bring the script in because I'm like, please, can I hold it at least? And look back and forth. And I went in there, and the performance I gave, I was even proud of. I literally put myself into that character right then and there in the audition. And he was like, he had all of his, his crew was in there as well, and they're all clapping and stuff when I was done, and I didn't even realize that, I had done that good of a job. And he's like, "So would you color your hair if you needed to?" I said, "Yes, sir. Of course." He goes, "Okay, I'll get back to you." And I left, and I get a text message from somebody that happens to be in this crew that I know. They're like, "You got the part. You got the part."
Wow.
So it's an amazing film. It's family friendly. It's about veterans, which is near and dear to my heart because I'm a wife of one, the daughter of one, and the sister of one. So in this film, that's what I play. I play a veteran who is suffering from PTSD and alcoholism, and just her older daughter doesn't want anything to do with her because she just, she's got that teenage attitude, and, well, you're a drunk anyway, so what do I need to talk to you for? And it's just, I can't give it all away or he'll kill me.
NDA, NDA.
Yeah, I can hear him now. But it's just a really, really, really good film. Some very deep messages there. And of course, the writer, director, his name is Elrico Tunstall, and he is very much a man of faith. So it does have a very positive message. It's not a churchy movie, but it has a very positive message in the end.
That sounds so amazing. It
And I
really
even
does.
made it in the trailer.
You did?
The
Oh, yay.
trailer premiere a couple of weeks ago, and I told my husband, I said, "Okay, we're going to go to this." And I said, "I'm probably not going to be in it." I said, "Because they're probably going to just have the main characters in there." And sure enough, there I was on the screen. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm in it!"
Oh, that's so awesome. So is the trailer out now? Can you share it?
Yeah, it's out. It's out now.
Okay. Okay.
It's on YouTube. If Southern Village by the mind of Elrico Tunstall is what it's under. And what's weird is I had someone tell me not to get involved with this particular director, but this was such an amazing experience. And the footage that I'm gonna get from this film, oh my goodness, it's my Oscar moment.
Adding it to the reel. You're like, I can't wait to add it to the reel. Get it in, girl. Get it in where you can. I love it. So, what was your process to prepare for such a huge role like that? Very emotional role like that.
The first thing I did was read it, reread it, and read it again, read everything. And then I tried to put myself in her position, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it all the way. So I contacted Lance Nichols, who is a dear mentor. I love him, amazing actor. And I had him work with me. He said, "I want a whole backstory for her. Why is she feeling the way she does?" And,
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking, okay, she's a woman in the military who saw a lot that a lot of women don't see. She was basically in combat without being in combat. She was assaulted, in the military. I started, really going, I went back to her childhood. That's how much I wanted to have her be a real person, have Maddie be Natasha or Natasha be Maddie, and have us, come together, basically shake us up, and you got one person is basically what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was definitely, and once I was able to develop her backstory, I was able to pull the emotions from things in my own life that was able to get me there. And when Lance and I, we worked on it one last time, and he said, "Go ahead, do it." So I did it for him, and he said, "We're not doing it again." He's like, "And you tell him he gets one and done."
Yeah.
One and done. And it was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow. I have goosebumps right now. I can't wait to see it, girl. Speaking of, you lived in Germany, being part of that world when you were 4 years old until you were 13. So you kind of have a little bit of experience in that, world, if you will. So what was it like living in Germany? And, give us a little bit of backstory about that, a little bit about you and,
Sure. It was great. I absolutely adore Germany. The people are wonderful. And you have to remember, I'm old. So I'm a child of the 70s, So back then, you didn't see a whole lot of kids that looked like me, And over there, I never saw any racism. I never saw any racism whatsoever the entire time I lived there. I did not see racism until I came back to the States. Sorry, it is what it is. But yeah, my mother was German. And so I have tons of family in Mannheim, and ja, ich kann Deutsch sprechen. Yeah, I speak.
Okay, girl. Okay.
Yeah, it was just wonderful. And growing up in a military family, you really learn. My father had the utmost respect for our country, and my mother did too. My mother, she had a 8th grade. Well, I don't even think it was 8th grade. I think it was 6th grade education, because she was a World War II baby. So they pulled them out of school and they had to go work in the factories.
Wow. Yeah.
Making uniforms and stuff for the soldiers and all that. And there was issues with my family where homes were taken, land was taken because they would not join a specific party. She had it rough. She had it really rough. And so when she came to the US, her thing, I think she came to the US in 63, and she was determined to become a citizen, and she studied the book and the whole 9 yards, and she was the proudest American that I've ever met, because she had her little flag. She died
Oh.
she was 74 when she died, and she still had her little flag from
Oh
when
my
she
God, that's
her
so.
citizenship. Yeah, she was. And my dad, it was all, he didn't care who was the president, whether he liked him or didn't like him. He was like, you know what? That's my commander in chief. That's my boss.
Yeah.
It was all about the country. So yeah, growing up in Germany was wonderful. I cried for the 8-hour flight coming over here when I was 13.
Did you really?
Entire time. And we ended up having to go to Pennsylvania, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And when I got there, it was a whole different world.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it took a lot of adjusting. Took me a lot of adjusting.
Yeah.
And kids were not nice, not at all, because I had a little bit of an accent when I came
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna ask, did you? Yeah, you probably did have an accent. That's quite a long time that you were there, about like what, 8 years? And those are formative years, so
And my
easy for
mother
you
always
to
spoke
learn.
to me. She spoke German to me all the time, especially when she wanted to talk about my father because he couldn't understand.
And then you are married, and you married your husband, who we talked about this a little bit. Tell me about your husband.
Oh my goodness. My husband is amazing. He is a former Special Forces Army guy. He's German as well. And what I forgot to tell you is that we actually met when we were in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, we ended up at the same high school in Massachusetts. But he was a big chicken because he was a nerd and wouldn't talk to me because he thought I wouldn't talk to him. So then 30 years later, we ended up, getting together. But he's just so amazing. And we were talking about ancestry DNA and just, different things we might have, because I found out that I was Irish on my father's side, because, everything that went on during those times, which is really weird because my dad, that man was dark. That man was black. But I found out I'm Irish on his side. And so my husband was like, oh, I got to do mine. He goes, I know I've got black somewhere in me. There's something in me. That poor man, he did his DNA and he came back as the whitest man in America. He is like Viking through and through. That's all he had. He was so sad. He was like, there's not even Puerto Rican or anything in there. He's like, I thought there would be something. So yeah, like you said, he's all
Nothing.
no pepper.
No pepper, no seasoning, just a plain ass chicken. Nothing, just nothing. It's funny because my husband is also full Viking, just straight up Scotland, red beard, red, yes, it's so funny. And
Oh,
then,
it is. It is.
yeah, and then I took my test and I thought I just had, a little bit of Italian in me, and I knew I was just white, Irish, and like English, but nope, my dad, nope, he got all kinds of stuff in him. So I'm Sicilian, which means I've got North African in me as well, because they were doing their thing, mixing and matching over there too. Back in the day. And I have Egyptian in me also.
Those eyes, I can see it. I can see now that you say it.
4%, guys. I'm 4% Egyptian. So proud of it.
4% Irish.
Yes. You know what? That's a lot when they give you the zero point 0.7, the zero point 0.1,
Yeah,
and you're like, wow, I'm 4% something else. Like, that's pretty
right.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of
Oh,
cool to figure out how different you are.
they had 2% Madagascar. Who
Oh, really?
I have no, I'm not even going to try to figure out how the traveling went in order to get that. But yeah,
Where
Madagascar.
is that like over by like New Zealand? Am I way off? I'm probably way off.
You know what? I don't even know where it is. I Googled it one time to see what the people looked like, and they look like that area, but I don't know where it is. I'm like Madagascar. I told my daughter, I'm like, hey, you know the movie from when the kid,
Yeah,
tell them Oma has Madagascar in her.
yes, I know that that's a very beautiful place. I know it's like tropical almost, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So I think it's over by Australia, New Zealand over there probably. That would be a fun place to go to actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, that'd be
Hmm.
fun. Well, let's talk a little bit about because I know there's a lot of actors that are married and act as well. So, in your experience and your journey, how do you combine being married and navigating through marriage and acting at the same time? As far as time goes, and auditions are kind of on the fly, spending time in classes, it's a lot. So, how do you navigate the two?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is give a big I love you to my husband, who is totally supportive of this. And if he wasn't, it would be more difficult. But you have to use time management. If there's an audition, he knows, hey, this is like my job. This is as if I was to go out and work the 9 to 5 with my little briefcase or whatever. This is my job. When they send me an audition and they say, hey, you got a 24-hour turnaround, I have to do what I have to do. And he's very well aware of that. I would tell people to talk to their partner because it is very encompassing. To me, I feel like, doctors and lawyers, the way they have to go through all the schooling and they have to put so much of themselves and do all that sacrificing, believe it or not, acting is the same thing. There's a lot of sacrifice because, I've had to a couple of times when I had auditions, miss one of my grandchildren's games or something, or be late, something like that, because I had to get it in by a certain time. And, I've had to tell my husband, okay, we can't do X, Y, and Z because I've got to be here or there. And he has to spend time alone because he can't, what your partner has to realize is they can't go with you all the time. It's just one of those things where they're going to have to trust you. For instance, the last one I did was commercial I did was in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta, and he was sick because I was like, oh, we'll just go together. We'll drive up there together, and I ended up going by myself. He had to spend a couple of days at home and everything, and they just have to understand that's part of your job. No different than if you were a salesman or something like that and you had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I would say you definitely talk to him about is any sort of intimacy. See, I'm fortunate because I'm old. Nobody wants to see all this.
Oh, stop it. Stop. You're so beautiful, Natasha. Stop.
But in my the film in Southern Village, I kissed my husband in the film, so I had to let my real husband know, hey, this part's going to come and we're going to kiss. Just wanted to give you heads up. Now, if they tell you, oh, they're fine with it, that's great. They lie. They're not fine with it, but at least give them the opportunity to know. So, you don't pop up on the screen and you're kissing this guy and they're standing there going, because they had no idea this was coming.
Yeah. Looking for the actor afterwards. Where's that guy at? Where's that guy at?
Right. And you have to have a solid relationship,
Yeah.
you really do. You have to have a solid relationship, somebody that's supportive,
Mhm.
and you've got to be supportive of them as well. It's give and take.
Absolutely. Communication for sure. Yeah. That's really what it all comes down to. And understanding. There are sacrifices.
Mm,
And in my case, my husband has to sacrifice a lot too for his work. So we both kind of have to deal with it when the other one's gone. I'm not gone as much as he is. Well, I do have to travel too to go to LA. I live outside of LA. So I do travel to go to auditions. But yeah, communication and just understanding that this is something he has to do. This is something I have to do. And coming together as a team because
mhm.
we're a team and we have kids, we have a family, and you
Right.
as well. And you have to, your partners and your friends. So you have to really utilize all those different relationships that you have
Yes.
with each other
Hmm.
and make it work. It's not going to be lovey dovey all the time. It's going to be, oh my God, you have to go again. Like, all right, let me step it up and
Mm-hmm.
do it. It's not always going to be pretty, but that's where the partnership comes in.
And it's difficult. Sometimes some ladies that I've spoken to, their husbands have a little bit of issue because the husband is the husband. But you have to always remember, if the shoe was on the other foot, and it was your craft, your love, the thing that, you just are meant to be doing, how would you feel? That's what they have to think of sometimes.
Yeah, and I think later, because I started later on in life as well into acting. I did it when I was a kid, but I, stopped and had a family, got married, finished high school. Well, I finished high school and then I got married and then I had my kids. I lifed first. I
Mhm.
learned, I did some growing, and at first I was really mad at myself for not continuing in those years in my 20s, and I felt like I wasted time, but I didn't. I started my family, and that was my job at the time. And as I got older, my kids were a little bit more self-sufficient. Then it was like, okay, now I have a little bit of time to where I can do what I love
Exactly.
and I can spread my wings, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so this to me is like another baby. And so I understand how you feel when you woke up one day and you're like, this is what I love to do. I want to do it. I'm going to cut my hair. I'm going to dye it. I'm going to do this, and I'm
Mhm.
going to go for this. I commend you for that. And I also think that it's okay to do that. I think that women should have something that they love that they do as well.
Yeah.
But do something for yourself too, make yourself feel.
You lose yourself. I
You
mean,
do?
I had my own company for 15 years. I had an engraving, embroidery, and screen printing company that I owned for 15 years. And I homeschooled my kids for 8 years. So, my whole life during those times revolved around my children and my business. My ex-husband, not so much, but my children and my business. And I did nothing for Natasha. Nothing was for me. And
Yeah.
it's really so funny because my children are my biggest supporters. They are like so proud, so behind me.
I love that.
My daughter-in-law, anytime I go to, if I book or even if I just have an audition, she'll send me a text message and say, remember, you're a bad bitch. That's what
Oh,
it's just, they are so proud. And my
yeah.
grandkids, they think it's just cool. They're little, so they're just like, oh yeah, you're pretty cool, you're all right, you can buy it. But the kids that, because my twins are 30 and my youngest is 25, they're like, wow.
That's awesome that you have their support too. That means a lot too, probably
Oh
for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
so much, so
Just
much.
validating that this is what you're meant to do, and
Exactly.
having them behind you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
probably feels really good. And going along with the understanding and trusting of the partner when you go to these projects, let's talk about when to say no to these projects, because there are times that you will find a project and you're like, damn, I finally got this casting director I've been chasing for years sometimes, this director, I've been dying to work with him, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it doesn't pan out to be what you want it to be, and it ends up being something that you don't want to be a part of. And you actually have a story about that. So tell us
Yeah.
about when you had to say no to something and how that made you feel, how that tug of war. Tell us about that.
It was so hard because when a gentleman that I'm working with on a series that's still in creation, really. He had sent my name over to a director who then got in touch with me, and I got the script and I got to play basically Natasha. I got to be sassy and funny and just joking around. That was my character. I'm like, oh my gosh, how
I
easy
got
is
this.
this? Yeah, I got this. And so I auditioned. I got the part. We started doing Zoom readings with everyone, and the first Zoom reading, the lead, she was horrible. I mean, I hate to say that about anybody. I really do. Forgive me, but she had the script for months. The rest of us had just gotten the script, as we got our parts. She didn't know her parts. And it didn't feel right the first couple times, but it went by the script. So the first couple reads were fine. Then all of a sudden, these other people started coming in as taking the place of you'd see one person one week and then there's somebody else playing their part.
Yeah.
And then there was, let's write this line in and let's add this line. Well, a lot of it was stuff that I just wasn't comfortable having my face up on a screen saying, talking about your female body parts being, wet,
Mm,
things like, yeah, it started going
okay.
direction that I was just like, ooh, I mean, I wasn't having to say that, but it was being said, and I was supposed to be tee hee hee ha ha going along with it. And it just started, and my husband was like, he was like, you're not comfortable. I said, I don't like this. I don't, something's not right. He never gave us a contract for whatever reason. Then when he finally did give the contract, I read it word for word, and I didn't like that word in perpetuity that I saw perpetuity in there, and I was like, wait, my image in what? And this is like a passion project, so I might get $50. I don't know. No. And so we had a conversation. As a matter of fact, I had to do a reading at the Essence Festival in New Orleans. I did a stage read out there, and so we had a meeting on Zoom that morning. And I was just like, this contract isn't going to work. This isn't working for me. It went bad. So I told my husband, I said, I got to walk away from this. I
Mm-hmm.
have to. He said, you do what you have to do. I contacted Lance. I'm like, this is the situation. He goes, girl, don't walk, just run.
Yeah.
So
Get the hell out.
yeah, I emailed him, and I still have respect for him. He's a great writer, great director. That just was not for me. That's not my thing. And he was like, "Oh, you disappointed me." Well, so you disappointed me too, because
Yeah, I was gonna say
way. But
it
yeah,
goes both ways.
it was really hard because as an actor, you always have that fear. If you say no, you're going to get blackballed, especially when you're just starting out and you're no one of importance like me. I mean, you don't want to burn bridges, but in this case, I had to, for my own morals, for me. And as soon as I did it, Southern Village opened up. So,
It was a redirection.
yeah,
That's what it was.
yes,
I
yeah.
firmly believe that because God's saying, nope, this is not for you. We're going
Mhm.
to redirect you. And then look where you are now. Whatever's for you won't pass you by. And I got to listen to that too, because I get stuck in a rut and I'm like, when is this going to happen? Because I get so many auditions and it's
Yes.
so hard to book them. It's hard to be a blonde haired white girl in LA going for these. I feel like it's the same, it's like I'm like in a sea of people, so I'm really trying to figure out how to.
In Atlanta, it's the same thing. But sometimes I'm not, there's a bit of colorism, there is, that exists. And sometimes I'm not black enough. You know what I mean? I'm just not. And that's not what they're looking for. It's totally get what you're saying. Cause sometimes I'll get a script and I'm like, why am I auditioning for this? This is
Yeah.
there was a Tyler Perry audition that I did, and I still to this day don't know why. It was for the show Zatima that he has on. And I saw the girl, I actually watched it, and I saw the girl that got my part, and I'm like, how did he think, why did I get that script?
Yeah.
She's like really tall. I'm 5'3". She's, darker complexion, beautiful, beautiful woman. I don't know if it's her hair, but the wig was long, dark hair. And it was just total opposite of me.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough because I'm just like you. I get auditions left and right. I was just telling my agent in LA, I'm like, I can't book to save my life. What's going on right now?
What is going on right now? How do you stay positive in these moments, just one actor to another? Because I'm asking for a friend, really.
Well, sometimes I'll look back at things that I did and I look at my growth, and I will actually go to people who I know are going to tell me the truth, like Natalie out in LA, my agent. She'll tell you the truth. When she's telling me, hey, your tapes are so much better now, who are you coaching with? And, whatever, and, Lance telling me, oh, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not booking. And he's like, you're not going to book all the time. He said, he's like, that's the icing on the cake. He said, but the win is them just putting you in for the audition.
That's true.
And when you look at those auditions that come through and it says so and so from XYZ casting requested you, that means they picked you, you know, and they probably saw 1,000 faces. And out of those 1,000 faces, they said, this girl with this short blonde hair needs to try her luck at it. And
Yeah.
even if I'm not that person that they choose to get the role, it's still a win for me. And I have to stay that way, or you do get negative, and then you're just like, screw it, you know? And I don't want to, I'm not giving up on this. So,
Yeah, me either. I'm in this for the long haul. And like you were saying earlier, about A-listers, people think that acting is just, people want to just be the A-list actor all the time, or, they're only in that to be famous or whatever. No, I've done this since I was a kid. This is something I grew up dancing. I grew up going to auditions. This is like a way of life, that I'm used to as a kid, but now as an adult, like I love that way of life and I want to do it. And it's just the process, honestly, that I love so much, and the journey. And there's so many wonderful actors that aren't A-list actors that should be
yes.
A-list actors, in my opinion.
Yep.
There's just so many actors out there and on so many different levels. It's just really hard to become a known actor. And a lot of people don't want to be a known actor. Some people just want to be a working actor.
Yes.
You're known in the world, in that world. The
Mhm.
casting directors know who you are, and so forth. But Joe down the street, he might look at you and be like, I kind of feel like I've seen you somewhere, but they don't know you. They don't know your business. They don't know, they're not following you around, taking your picture, because honestly, who wants all that? I don't want
Oh, I
that.
don't want
I
all
don't
the
want
paparazzi.
that.
No.
I don't want none of that. I
No.
just want to act. You know what I would love to do? I would love to act on like a soap opera every day. Go every day to set,
Yes.
get
Yeah.
my script. It's hard. It's tough to be a soap opera actress, actually, because they get a new script every day. Every single day you wake up, they bang those soap operas out like hotcakes, dude. It is like boom, 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 boom every single day. So those are very trained actors. It's just people don't realize that,
No. And
they
they
see
think
soap operas and they're like, oh, it's just cheesy.
easy. Yes. Yes. Well, I told you, I actually, I'm going to be working on it tomorrow. I have an audition that is actually for a Turkish soap opera type.
Yes.
Yes. And it's being filmed in Turkey, but they are so, I was laughing so hard because I went to the website and took a look at them and everything. My agent was like, take a look at it, make sure it's not going to offend you. I'm like, are you kidding me? These are like those things my mom and I used to watch when I was a kid. And, I would love to get this, not just to go to Turkey, but I would love to be international. Like my dream is to go and act in Germany. I would love to go and act in Germany,
You could. Do you still have, do you have dual citizenship over there?
No, no, no. I just have my American citizenship.
Oh, okay.
It used to be where you had to choose.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Because my brother and I both, he finally got his, he was like in his 40s. He's 20 years older than me. He was like in his 40s when he was like, oh yeah, I guess I should become a American citizen, seeing how he was an officer in the military,
you might want to do that.
Yeah, just a thought, but he's different.
I had to take a little pause because my kids are at home today. It's Wednesday. They have a random day off. So, I didn't know that when I scheduled our podcast. So we got interrupted. But I wanted to ask you, Natasha, what is next for you? You have such a bright future ahead of you, and I see so many things for you. I think you are stunning. I think you are very talented. Just in the short amount of time that you've been in this world, I think that you have made so many ripples already, and you are fantastic. So what's next for you? What do you see yourself doing next, and what's your next goal?
My next goal is television. I would love to be on TV. And if Michelle Buteau sees me and needs somebody in her next season, I'm right here, because I wanted Survival Over the Thickest so bad, but I'm not represented up there, and the whole nine yards, so I never got an audition. But she needs me. Michelle, you need me. If you watch this, you need me.
Let me tag her in here. We're going to tag her in
There
here.
you go. No, I really do. I want to do TV so bad.
Yeah.
If I could work with, Mariska, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Olivia, if just even one episode. Let me be the chick sweeping the floor. I don't even care.
Just to be
Whatever.
there.
Just to be there, you know? And I want to leave my legacy to my grandchildren, because my grandchildren, I have 7 of them. All the different colors, all the different hair colors, all the different eye colors. You know, when you're mixed, you got a variety. But they all have my personality. And I want them to see, yes, go ahead and do it. If you want to act, because I'll ask them, do you want to be in a commercial? I will get you in a commercial. And I have one of them where she's like, Oma, can you get me on TV? I'm like, baby, let's get you some headshots. Let's do this. You know?
Yeah.
But I want to leave that. I want to, you know, I want somebody when I'm gone to be like, oh yes, she passed away, but remember her in this movie? She was great, you know?
Yeah.
Open to whatever God has for me, because he's guiding me through this whole thing, you know? He really is. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
God put that in your heart, and it's in there for a reason. That legacy that you leave for your kids and your grandkids will hopefully inspire them to go out and follow their dreams as well. And
Absolutely.
whatever they may be, something that is really tough that they might not have the courage to do, but knowing that Oma went and did it, even though it was huge and it was really tough to do, but Oma did it.
Yep.
So I'm going to do it.
My oldest granddaughter, I'll say this and then I'll shut up. My oldest granddaughter is in 6th grade this year, and she wanted to join band. I was like, okay, this is cool. That baby, she's so different, and she walks to the beat of a different drum, just like she's so much like me. That girl is playing the tuba. The tuba.
Yeah.
What?
Nice.
I'm like, you go, sweetheart, because I was hoping for the drums. I was hoping for percussion, but you know, when she was like, Oma, I'm going to play the tuba, I said, you go. You
play that damn tuba the best way you can, girl. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, I've already got them where they just still, I've instilled it in my children, and my children have passed it down to their children to be you. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks. Just be you.
Be you. I've learned that so many times in so many different hard lessons in life, or even just in the past 5 years, I've learned, you know, and I'm still learning how to just be me, just be
Mhm.
you. Just do what you want to do. Stop worrying about other people. Some people learn this a lot sooner than others.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm still learning because it's tough for me, the type of person that I am. I worry about things a lot, and I want to do things perfectly, and then it ends up being the exact opposite. So don't do that.
Yes. Don't
And just
put
be
those
you.
expectations on yourself. Don't. We live in a world now where, you know, me here at 54, I'm finally able to really just be Natasha, you know, where it was stifled, you know, because you have to remember, it wasn't, you know, you were to be seen and not heard as a child. And,
Yeah.
you know, as a wife, you were supposed to be a certain way. And, you know, now I'm just finally able to just be me. And, you know, I look back at it, even, you know, as young as you are, I wish to God I would have had, you know, your confidence that you have in yourself and everything when I was your age, you know. Oh, how I wish.
Sometimes it's not there. I think when I get on this podcast, I might come off a lot more confident than I really am. But I think that's just who I am. Like when I get in front of a camera or I'm in front of like a big audience, I can turn it on and I can be confident and I
Mm,
can act, you know, and do these crazy things. But if I'm, you know, if it's just me and you one on one, not on a podcast, you know, maybe in the kitchen, chilling, having a glass of wine, that's when my insecurities come out. You know, I feel vulnerable. I'm a little bit more shy and insecure and just a lot more like careful about what I say, how I move.
I used to be like, I used to be like,
I'm still a little bit different.
you'll get there, because now I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah. How do you get there? How, does it just come with age or, you know, what is it?
You know, it came with age, and it came with honestly getting with the right person, having the right, sometimes you have to push people away, because some people just aren't meant to be in your world. They're not adding to it. They're sucking your energy away. And I had to do a lot of that. There's a lot of people that I don't talk to anymore because they were just energy suckers. You know, like I said, my husband is so supportive, and I've got my kids supporting me. And, you know, my son told me I think it was a week or so ago, he's like, "Wow, mom, it's so good to see you just being you," you know?
Oh, I love that.
And it makes me tear up because they saw things with my ex-husband, because that marriage was not good, that they heard the yelling and the screaming and all that stuff that I didn't, and they saw me insecure, sad all the time. And now I'm the complete opposite. You learn to love yourself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
every day, even if you like, I have a little mantra I tell myself every day, I am the best at what I do. No one or nothing can stop me but me.
Yeah.
And I tell myself that every day, every day. And it keeps my mind centered, and
Yeah.
realize when I start to get that negative stuff in there, it's like, okay, you know what? Go away, get it out, get it out.
And it's so much easier said than done because I sit here on this podcast week after week and I tell people, be you, stay true to yourself, be inspired, go out and follow your dreams. I have to do that too. I have to listen to my own little pep talks sometimes. I want to sit here and inspire people through my imperfections because it's not about being perfect. I hope that I inspire people through those things that people can relate to, really, because
Oh,
it's
me too.
relatable. Everyone kind of goes through that shit.
People have to realize we're imperfect.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be imperfect, and the stuff that's put on you to make you think you need to be perfect, like all the plastic surgeries and this, that, and the other. Now, mind you, if I could get a tummy tuck, I would, okay? But all that just for perfection. It's just it makes me sad to see, especially young girls, these young girls that are already thinking, I was that young girl. I mean, I'm on a whole lot of medication because of my life, but that's a whole nother show. But I was that young girl who was told she was fat, she was ugly, was called names, had spitballs thrown in her hair. I was that girl that was abused and attacked. I can't say you get over it, but you have to learn from it. Like, and those are the areas, when I was talking about my character, those are the areas I draw from.
Yeah.
That's the realness that I bring. I'm not making any shit up. This is what happened. So
When you watch those movies, those shows that you love so much, just in general, those characters are drawing you in because they are going through their own life struggles on the inside as they're projecting that story to you. They're telling that story through their own experience. Maybe they haven't been to war, they're in a war scene, but maybe they grew up with parents who did yell and scream at each other all the time. And it was like a freaking war zone. So we pull from those moments in life, like you're saying, and that's the process that actors use to connect us and to draw us into those stories. What you when you see bad acting is when you just see an actress up there saying the lines and they're not connecting to that character. They're not pulling from any trauma or
yeah,
any happiness. They're not pulling from anything. They're just saying the line, I love you too. They're
yeah,
not looking at somebody they love. They're not looking at their husband or
right.
their daughter. They're looking at the actor.
Yeah,
I think that, that's another thing, misconception about acting is, it's so easy. I could just go up there and say those lines. No, you really got to dig, man. You got to dig. And it brings some shit out in you that you're like, man.
week after we filmed that, my one scene, which was, he saved it to the very end because he knew I would be worthless after that.
Yeah.
For like a week after, I was literally having to decompress because I
Uh,
had gotten that. I was Maddie. I had become Maddie. And
yep.
I had to, because I said, I don't care that this isn't like, I don't know, a Lionsgate film or something like that. I want this to be as good as it possibly can, and I want to give it everything in me, and I did. And it was exhausting. It was, like I said, it was like a week of me just, decompressing, hanging out with the grandkids and trying to, do stuff to not have my mind going back to the things I had drawn from.
And back to Natasha. Get back to Natasha, my happy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's what it does that to you. It is exhausting and emotionally exhausting for sure. Well, Natasha, I've had such a blast with you on here. I'm going to ask you one more thing. What's your ambitious goal for this week?
This week, let's see.
Or next week, whatever, just a goal that you have.
Well, since I have the audition, let me go ahead and book the soap opera in
Let's
Turkey.
do it. Let's get you to Turkey, girl.
Yes. Let me get me to Istanbul.
Throw me in your suitcase. I want to go too. I need a little break.
We had way too much fun. Way too much fun.
We really would. I think Turkey would be freaking fun. I really hope that you get that so I can follow your journey and
Me
follow you
too.
over there. That would be so fun. Oh my God. Good luck on that, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, stay on the line. I'm going to say bye to you after we say bye on here. So thank you guys for another episode of Blonde Ambitions, coming on and listening to another episode of Blonde Ambitions podcast. I'll get my shit together one of these days. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. I just want to help everybody out that's in the acting world, mindset in general, mental health. And I want to come on here and make people feel they can relate. And so please share with your friends, guys. And thank you again. Love you guys. Have a good week. And what is your ambitious goal for the week?